Maybe that's. So what's the pretty much one. Yeah. Where's the interested in the street and so on? Choose now. Thinking of law. Yeah, they're thinking on between it's about. So they just speak. So. So there's the plot, right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Oh, you did. So I know you talked about tables. Yes. The discussion. Yeah. Is it possible? That's actually, I think, yeah, the direction. And I was that, and I just out today, and then, I know, okay, it's really work to the next one. But, I don't want to start the whole process over either, so I was.
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't be restarting that process now.
Okay.
So it's just tabled to the next month to give the area commission, thank you, area commission time to,
Okay.
yeah, weigh in on the case.
Okay.
So once we have that area commission recommendation, which unfortunately is happening tonight,
Right.
we'd be ready to go for the next meeting. We wouldn't have to do anything else at that point.
Is there any way to get like a conditional?
No, because they when they make their decision, it's final. So what we'll do is we can skip over your case in the middle of the meeting. And at the very end, like if time is out, you have to at
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. So what people have done, they've sent, some sort of agent to the meeting. Hopefully got scheduled first, and I think 6:45, they call you and say, okay, you gotta approve it on the record. Say, my guy at the meeting right now, we gotta approve it. Here.
Well, depending on like how long this.
Okay.
Meeting.
That's great. Yeah.
But yeah, we start at 6:30, we start at 4:30.
Right, kind of.
I don't know if there's anything controversial. I think it's gonna make it go 2 hours.
How long do these hearings?
They usually are running around 6:30, but again, it depends on how long each case takes. It's like we've had it in the past where people have done that and it works out.
Okay.
But other times where the area commission was bid, that's like the time period for this case.
Okay.
It's just, it's a.
So what I recommend is at the end, if they say, all right, it's all back to the Lion Street
Okay.
case and say, it's only 5 o'clock, whatever. So read your case to the commission or the board, they have the say, but they don't like to go back to some also.
Yeah.
Don't get your hopes up.
Right. Okay, I understand. I was just trying to. Wait, my officer seemed kind of.
Understandable.
If it's,
Greg,
Greg.
Oh, okay. None of the attorneys ever read. All the architects, all the engineers, all the homeowners, but none of the attorneys.
Okay. So just kind of the end or once, for.
Yeah. We'll put it in as a preliminary matter to suggest putting this case at the end. Before likely apply chat.
Okay.
And that, yeah, so I have been taking meeting itself.
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay.
Fingers crossed to make sure everything kind of lines up right.
Okay.
Yeah. And you said, yeah. Do what for a study that or that is that something?
Yeah, they're kind of on standby.
Right, fair enough.
So I think the meeting is gonna go to. They're, sure, it's my boss that was.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. I'll let them know that. Plan on.
Yeah.
Be there.
And to be fair, I mean, it's the confusion, just the one where the confusion arose because that's the use of the SRO.
Yeah. Yeah,
They shouldn't be doing
and I kind of thought, oh, this is.
that. Well, of course, it's a top that's a little bit south of the area. And so, yeah, that's what I was working with, to make sure that like, it's not too much like that.
Okay.
Does not do that over the year, because it leads to, if you go for us, it's fire. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's. But yeah.
I've also done.
All right, fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
They all black.
That's the only.
Okay, well, I'm here, so when it comes up.
I mean, it will come up one. Yeah, it's just all, and like I said. Chances are, he'll turn off.
Seems really.
Especially since.
Yeah.
Just like,
Yes.
Well, I think I can't say anything with the site of law, they choose between factors and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the. Right, we have like, as you feel those part. It's number.
I thought so. Okay, cool. Thank you. Sorry. Yes. Nice to meet you. Actually, I was like, oh, it's like.
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
That's it. Oh, saying, oh. No. Isn't she already? Oh. Oh, that's.
Yeah. Sorry, you said. But. Yeah. Where do you go? Haven't heard from Eric.
Okay.
You need a.
This later.
That's number 6, I do.
Okay. We're all saying.
Yeah, there's the one of the 2 or 3 of the pictures.
Good, on the same case.
Yeah. But I had like, you know, funny things.
Target defects. Yeah. It's over.
Ready? Okay, good afternoon. We're going to call to order the November 26th, 2024 Board and Zoning Adjustment Meeting. We're going to try to get through our visit tonight so that people can get home and do their Grove Street shopping and the holiday coming up. So, fun time to spend Thanksgiving with us. We promise to be fair and listen and get you on your way. If you have not been here before, when the case is called, you will come up to the desk here. I think the microphone's on. Get to.
Yeah, it's
There's a, sign-in sheet. We want you to print your name there so the court reporter can get it spelled accurately. The city will give us the summary of the case, and then we will turn it over to you to ask if you have any additional information you want to share. I will ask you to swear that you are going to give accurate testimony, but to keep from doing that every time someone comes up, I will do that as a group. And so if you are going to plan on speaking tonight, if you could stand, raise your right hand. You promise that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, nothing but the truth, please state I do. Thank you. So when I ask you when you come up, have you been sworn, you can say yes. After the applicant's testimony, then I will ask for concerned residents, citizens to speak to. Just if they want to speak about the issue, and they will be given 3 minutes, 3 minutes apiece. We usually hear everyone that's concerned, wants to speak, so you don't have to worry about us not recognizing you. Then we will take the vote. You need 3 approvals for your variance or your special permit to be granted. If you feel like you're sensing we may not approve you, you can ask to have it tabled so that you can go back, sharpen your pencils, bring back a altered proposal. So that's an option for you as well. I think we will be going through the Duncan factors for cases that the city is recommending disapproval for. So if you hear that, then you'll understand why. If we have any preliminary matter, we will do that now.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. To follow up on your holiday acknowledgements, I just want to make a note for, I guess, the board and applicants. The December BZA meeting will be moved up 1 week to December 17th, the third Tuesday of the month. As far as preliminary matters, we do have, I think, 3. 2 of them are tablings and 1 is a board extension. The first case, BZA 24-119 at 1264 East Dublin Granville Road. The applicant would like to request a variance.
What number is that?
Number 2.
Okay, can the applicant come forward? 1264 East Dublin Grandview Road. Hello.
Hello,
Please state your name, was not sworn in.
Gregory Grosby, and I was sworn in.
The issue.
We're required to have a meeting in front of the Neighborhood Area Commission. And even when we applied for the BZA permit, we weren't able to get onto the agenda until December 4th. So we're going to attend that meeting and then come back for the next meeting of the BZA.
Is there anybody here that's planning on speaking to this case? Okay, so no one here to speak about whether or not this should be tabled. Do we have any questions from the board? We have a motion?
Motion table.
Second?
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes. Table, thank you.
Okay, the next preliminary matter is case from last year. We're requesting a board order extension. That case was BZA 23-118. You know the address.
267 Greenwood Avenue. Get here?
Yes.
Okay, can you state your name or whether you were sworn in?
Peter Navarro, and yes, I was sworn in.
What's your issue?
Due to the construction loan requirements, our bank is requiring us to hold off until they receive our 2024 taxes, since it's me and my wife, we're a small business. So we're pretty much doing it ourselves. So the bank is requesting that to get a construction loan, they want our 2024 taxes to be filed, so we can get the construction loan process done, so we can start building on 267 Greenwood Avenue.
So this case was not on the agenda, so nobody's probably not here. Do we have any questions for these extension request.
For how long would it wait for?
It's 6 months.
Well, hold on. The property line has a year from when we're granting the original variance, which was December 28, 2023. Till December 28, 2023. I would propose that we're giving a year from the date today to have something done with the property. The start of the variance by a year from this date.
Basically, you'd be done by next year this time.
It doesn't have to be done.
Yes.
It has to be started.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. That is the, yeah, oh yeah.
So some kind of improvement or adjustment to the property within the year from today.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
We have a motion. So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Mr. Malacca?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Chair Palm Bailey?
Yes. Extension granted.
Okay, and the final request, which I'm not sure if the applicant is here yet, but the applicant at 260 Parkland Street would like the board to restamp updated elevations from the previously approved meeting.
Is the applicant for 260 Carpenter Street here this evening? No, I was saying it was gonna be a 50-50 whether they or not. Okay, I'll pick it up on the meeting next meeting.
Okay, so we ready to spend for the regular meeting?
Yes.
Case number 1, 5429 and 5433 Bethel Sawmill Center.
Okay. 429 through 5433 Bethel Sawmill Center is located on the west side of Bethel Sawmill Center, approximately 240 feet north of Bethel Road. Site is zoned within the new Commercial Activity Center District and is within the jurisdiction of the Northwest Civic Association. The site is developed with a retail center. Surrounding uses are a bowling alley to the north, fuel station to the east, an adult entertainment facility to the west, and a grocery store to the south. The applicant proposes a change of use to a marijuana dispensary. Requests a special permit as required by City Code 3389.151. The planning division has no comment on the proposed use of the property as the Northwest Plan does not address non-medical or medical marijuana dispensaries. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the applicant had provided a presentation to the Northwest Civic Association. And I believe the representative is here. She'd like to speak further. City staff can recommend approval as the applicants have provided notice to all property owners within 250 feet of the proposed location and have also provided a presentation to the applicable neighborhood group. We have no conditions. Madam Chair.
Okay. Have you been sworn?
Yes. Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
I'm Louis Farkas.
Ian Jones.
Present.
So we, you want to go ahead? So we're seeking a special permit. We had come to the previous meeting, but had not solicited feedback from the neighborhood group at the previous neighborhood meeting. So we had another neighborhood meeting where feedback was solicited. A vote was also taken, which I believe is optional. But the neighborhood group did approve the special permit, and there is a neighborhood group member here as well if there's any questions regarding that. And then we're also here to answer any other questions you might have.
You were not already in operation as a medical marijuana facility.
This is a proposed, yeah, so it's not even it's just a tenant space right now that, it'd be a future medical and adult use, dual use dispensary.
Do we have anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Please come forward. Name was that this morning?
My name is Monica Tuttle. I have been sworn in, and we did table this and return it to the community group. We did take feedback and vote on this. In general, we have concerns in the Northwest area about marijuana dispensaries simply because they do not provide employment opportunities for people who are not US citizens. There are very real immigration consequences for working in the marijuana industry, even though it's legal under state law. It is illegal under federal law, and therefore it is grounds for deportation as well as grounds for not being granted a green card. Given that, we have worked with the applicant, and the applicant is interested in providing informative information, that was redundant, providing information to the neighbors, just putting them on notice, not any legal advice or anything else, just putting them on notice, much like a Surgeon General's warning. This either employment or use can impact your immigration situation. You may want to seek advice. So although we have a very large, both green card and asylee and refugee population in our area that will be affected by the inability to work at this particular location, we do support this application at this time.
So is your concern that people that might be seeking a green card or even immigration status won't be able to be employed there? Or are you concerned that there are risks? I'm hearing everything you're saying. I'm trying to process.
It's actually both. So if I am seeking a green card and working in this industry is very lucrative. There's great benefits, there's great opportunities. Even if I have a work authorization, if I were to work in that industry, I would be ineligible to be granted my green card. So it prevents this, it limits this as an employment opportunity for those individuals. And more importantly, they may not know that. Now, it's not on the employer at all. It is perfectly legal for the employer to employ them. It's on that applicant to be aware. And that's why we are really pleased that this applicant is willing to at least put people on notice and say, hey, I'm not asking about your immigration status, but if you're not a US citizen, you might just want to check out because this is a very real situation in our part of town. Also, for applicants who would be using the product, the same thing applies. Any use of medical marijuana is still a violation of federal law. It is still grounds for deportation. It can even be used to denaturalize individuals. So my day job is an immigration attorney. So yeah. So although it has been passed, we recognize it is an accepted use. We are very concerned in our community that it would have adverse effects on our neighborhood and our neighbors. So that's why we're very pleased that this applicant is aware, recognizes, and wants to work with the community.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you so much.
Is there anybody else? Okay. Do we have any questions?
Just a reminder, Chair, for all the special permits, I will just recite once what the standard is under 3307.06. Request for the board to engage with Section A, and then it states to grant special permits for uses listed in Chapter 3309, where the marijuana use lies, where it is shown that special use can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good, without substantial impairment to general purpose and intent of the zoning district in which the use is proposed to be located, and without significant incompatibility with the general character of the neighborhood. So I would just ask when you're making your decision for whatever to engage with those standards under 3307.06 for all of the special permits we have on the agenda tonight. Thank you.
You said the current use, the current operational use of the facility is what now?
It's just an empty tenant space. I don't know what the prior
Is it in the strip mall? Is it a standalone building?
strip mall. Yep. So
It's 2 units, actually.
yeah, it's 2 units just left of the tall portion.
Right there and the one, yep.
Yeah.
And then your hours of operation will be,
It's pending right now. We're gonna follow, obviously, the state guidelines of what's set forth by the DCC. I believe they allow from, what was it, 9 to 10, I believe.
Yeah.
But more than likely, we're gonna be a 10 to 6, 10 to 7. The hours right now aren't completely set. Obviously, we might transition to some different hours into the summer and or pending traffic. You know, we just don't know yet, but that tentatively, that's what we're looking at, the 10 to 6, 10 to 7.
Any questions for that? I don't sense that this is a detriment to the neighborhood or conflicts with the intent of the Columbus ordinance for special permits. So I am inclined to vote yes for the special permit. I know if any other board members feel differently. Ready for the question?
Other question?
Please call the roll.
Mr. Malacco?
Based on the opinion and we agree with the chair's assessment of the case. I vote yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
I likewise concur with the chair and colleague in vote yes.
Mr. Jones?
I should vote yes.
Chair Bailey?
Yes. Special permit granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
6075 Emerald Parkway.
Okay, 6075 Emerald Parkway is located on the west side of Emerald Parkway. Approximately 270 feet north of South Crossing Boulevard. Site is zoned LC4 commercial and is within the jurisdiction of the Hayden Run / Civic Association. The 1.34 acre site is developed with a 3,800 square foot restaurant. Surrounding uses include a fuel station and convenience store to the south, a hotel to the west, and offices to the north and east. This applicant proposes a change of use to a marijuana dispensary, requesting a special permit. Columbus citywide planning policies, design guidelines do not address guidelines for special permits. And our staff requests additional street trees be added along the site along Emerald Parkway, if recommended by the city forester. The Division of Traffic Management states that a right-of-way dedication of 60 feet from the center line of Emerald Parkway will be required. And the applicant has provided a presentation to the Hayden Run Civic Association. Having said that, staff can recommend approval as the applicants have provided notice to all property owners within 250 feet of the proposed location and have also provided a presentation to the applicable neighborhood group. Board members, I'm going to point out a handout that was left into us. I received an email from a Mr. Chris Wagner, who is opposing this proposal. I'll give you a copy of this. I just want to enter that in the record. He's asking that this be tabled tonight. But I'll defer to you on that.
Based on what?
It's an email.
You see it.
Thank you. Rob.
This is it.
No, it's this. It's the last page. Okay, can you say your name whether you were sworn in?
Sure, Gregory Grosby, and I was sworn in.
You have anything else to add about the application?
Sure. So this was presented in front of the neighborhood association, which in this case was Hayden Run, the Hayden Run Association. It received no adverse commentary at that time. There were a couple people that just happened to be there that spoke up in support. At least one of those was a current medical marijuana patient. The neighborhood association chose not to vote on the matter as they're not required to, but there weren't any unfavorable comments to pass on. As was stated, we've met the requirements of 3389.151. The public notice was given, and we gave that presentation to the area association. With respect to 3307.06, we also believe that we are in compliance with the general standards for granting a special permit for this site. There's no substantial detriment to the public good. For a number of reasons, this is a highly regulated site under state law. There can be no use of the product sold at this site on site, neither in the building nor in the parking lot. Standard operating procedure for the, excuse me. Standard operating procedure for the client requires that all patients or all customers are informed that there could be no use on site. There are no products available to the customers while they are making their selections if they haven't bought online already, and 40% of the customers do buy online beforehand. All product is kept in the back room until an actual sale is being made. Only then is it brought out onto the floor, and it's never open. It arrives sealed from the time it's brought to the site until the customer leaves with it. In addition to being a highly secure building built to the standards required by the Ohio Division of Cannabis Control, there are also on-site security staff as well as 24-hour camera monitoring of all spots inside the building and around the building other than washrooms and employee break areas. This has led to some of these locations even allowing local law enforcement to use their footage for crimes that, or suspicion of crimes that have happened, not just on site, but in the neighborhood area that happen to get picked up by the cameras. That footage is saved by law for at least 45 days. In addition to the security elements of the site, there's also the economic benefit, particularly for this location, which is a former restaurant no longer in use. In addition to the sales tax that will be collected and go to the benefit of the community, there's also a 10% excise tax on adult use sales at the site. This will be a dual use site for both medical marijuana and adult use. That 10% excise tax gets shared by the local community who receives 36% of that excise tax. In addition, one other benefit that I can throw out there is, like many of the other dispensaries that you've seen come before this board, this particular applicant does a fair amount of community outreach. So they are involved in things that particularly are important to the community, and they do a lot of work with neighborhood organizations to make sure that they are reflecting the interests of both the employees and the neighbors that are around the dispensary. Regarding the other two aspects of 3307.06, we don't think there's any substantial impairment of the zoning district's purpose. This is a commercial site in a commercial area. Additionally, for the third leg of the test, there's no significant incompatibility with the neighborhood's general character. Again, this is a retail site in a highly retail area. Are there any questions?
Do we have any questions?
Some first for staff, this refers to the Northland area. This, if I'm not mistaken, is closer to Dublin.
Northland area?
That should be
Number 3.
Yeah. Two.
So question for you, related to restrictions, how you select a site, for example. Can you speak specifically to things surrounding daycares, schools, libraries? What are your restrictions as they relate to that?
Sure. The restrictions are that the site has to be within, cannot be within 500 feet, and that's measured from the nearest corner of the building of the dispensary to the edge of the parcel for the site that you're checking. On that site, you can't have schools, churches, playgrounds, forgetting one other thing, schools, church, libraries. Schools, as the code defines that term, includes, does not include colleges. It's K through 12. It also includes state registered daycares. It does not include treatment centers of any type or therapy centers. It includes only what we would normally think of as schools or state registered daycare.
So in your opinion, should therapy centers, and I'm assuming that that's specifically called out, therapy centers general are in a deal of protect. And it would be interesting, obviously, you know, debate here, but why those would be called out specifically, those are maybe most vulnerable people. Is there any tendency that you think is nearby that might come into question if this is an ideal location for you?
No, I've been made aware of the email, and we do not feel that there's a problem for a couple of reasons, and I'll state those. First off, it used to be, when the medical ordinance was first adopted, that alcohol and drug treatment centers were in that list of prohibited facilities that can't be within 500 feet. When they redid the law, that was abolished. It's no longer a prohibition to have a dispensary within 500 feet of such a business. I'm not sure of the entire legislative intent, but what I understand is that because of the highly regulated nature of the business, the fact that you know, all of the business stays inside the building or is online. There's no congregation outside the building, none attended, and I will tell you, this applicant and the other applicants that I've been lucky enough to represent all enforce this because they don't want it either. They know that the neighbors don't want it. They don't let people loiter outside the building. People that do tend to loiter outside the building are given a warning. If they have to be given multiple warnings, they're no longer allowed at the business. And that's the intent of this applicant. And, you know, I understand most of the dispensaries frankly operate that way. They know that they depend in large part upon the public trust. And so they can't afford to have that happen. If you're not having use outside the building, in the area of the building, if you're not having, if you're conducting legal transactions, if you have security staff involved, and you've got monitoring of the premises on a 24-hour basis, this becomes a very safe site. In fact, I don't have the site with me, but there's a 2019 article that the Ohio State University, a study that the Ohio State University did that concluded that, in fact, in the area, the neighborhood area of a dispensary, crime actually decreases overall, right? So you have what is a secure facility with constant monitoring, driving the local area to be somewhat safer. In such a case, you know, it's hard to see, you know, what the adverse effects would be on a neighboring therapy center, right? Because it's not like you have people that are staying around, you know, using the product. They're not even hanging around in the area. It's just another retail facility.
Question for staff. I know I recent months asked about time limits for special permits. I feel like at one point we had the 1 year limit. Are we still able to do that?
Typically that's for temporary uses, like a temporary parking lot or a portable building.
But I feel like we've done it on some special permits for salvage yards or something.
Yeah, well, you want to tell them or should I, Josh? I mean, there's some discussion that this may not even
I would not recommend putting any time restrictions on this particular special use. Technically, under the you have the ability to place conditions, but the law is in flux right now. We have a Ohio Revised Code Chapter 3780 that controls over a lot of this. So my recommendation would be not to place any time restrictions.
If we put a time restriction of 1 year, for example, and the laws change, there's an opportunity for an applicant to come back and file, see their advice on.
So under city code, you have the authority to place time restrictions, generally speaking, on special permits, but because the state law that had been passed by initiation governs the use of marijuana in the state of Ohio, I'm not sure that the board has the authority in this particular case to place time restrictions. So that's the reason for my recommendation. Pardon? That's the reason for my recommendation.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Do we have any other questions for you? Okay, with W30706, I am convinced that we don't have a incompatibility with the neighborhood, there's no detriment to the neighborhood, and the applicant has met the standards under the code for pursuing the special permit. Like testimony about the operations and the security. They've done all the background work, so I'm inclined to permit.
Did you say grant?
Yes. Did we want to further them? Ready for the question?
Ready to call the question?
Dr. Greenwald, let's call the roll.
Ms. Egelhoff?
I likewise agree with the chair and my colleague and grant the special permit.
Mr. Jones?
While I don't see a reason to decline or those have not issued a special permit, I do have some inherent concerns with the interpretation of what's excluded in terms of your proximity to certain activities. And I think we would be better served as a body with the latitude to be able to issue a time limit to test the waters. To see if in fact the things that we think are going to be okay are. Speaking of without that opportunity, I feel like it's in the best interest of the applicant and those that it serves to grant a special permit.
Mr. Malcolm?
Yeah, based on the chair's opinion, I guess on this.
Jennifer Bailey?
Yes. Special permit granted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as the attorney for the applicant, I'll make sure that they have a full understanding of the conversation that went on tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let them know about the.
Yes, that's actually what, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, 2375 Silver Drive.
Okay, our final special permit for marijuana of the night. 2375 Silver Drive is located on the west side of Silver Drive, approximately 850 feet south of Hudson Street. There is no area commission group, however, the site is zoned and manufacturing. The 1,294 acre site is built with a 4,881 square foot restaurant. Surrounding uses include Interstate 71 to the east, big box hardware store, and retail to the north and west. Again, the applicant proposes a change of use to a marijuana dispensary and requests a special permit. On the citywide planning policies state that parking lots should be screened from view from public right of way and adjacent development. Screening should include a combination of the following items: walls, mounds, trees, shrubs, and/or landscaping. At this point, planning recommends the applicant reach out to the city forester, I believe they have, to coordinate the location and visibility of street trees along Silver Drive and the green strip that separates the parking lot to the south. I think in your site plan it shows the landscaping plan. Division of Traffic Management has no comments. City staff is recommending approval. Staff can recommend approval as the applicants have provided notice to all property owners within 250 feet of the proposed site. There is no neighborhood group for this location, and as of the writing of this report, staff has not received any comments from any surrounding property owners. The only condition we're asking for is to reiterate the planning comment, which is the applicant will commit to the site plan, which shows parking lot screening on Silver Drive. Madam Chair.
Can you state your name for the night you're sworn?
Yes, good afternoon. Pamela Seekman, and yes, I've been sworn in.
And Dwayne Seekman, and I've been sworn in as well.
Who are you in relationship to?
We're next level operators,
Yeah, sorry.
the owners, yeah, sorry.
We're a husband and wife team that owns Next Level Operators.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Next Level Operators, we were awarded our first medical marijuana dispensary license in May of 2022 for Kent, Ohio. We opened that facility in April of 23. So we operated under the Board of Pharmacy successfully and for a year. And in August, we were granted our dual use permit to also offer adult use marijuana to folks in the Kent and surrounding areas.
And I would just add too, it's already been brought up, but we did work with the office and planning on the screening issues with the trees. We made some adjustments on the parking, which were requested, and that's all in the plan, and we are committed to that as well. I also would like to mention too that we do have our provisional license that was granted by the state. So I'm not sure if that was included in the original application, but I just wanted to mention that. Happy to answer any questions. And I guess I would also just add too that we, the state law does require us to be open within 1 year of granting our provisional license. So we're committed to that and hopefully sooner.
And I'm assuming you have the same safety and operational protocol.
That's correct.
Yeah.
For the applicants.
Yeah, and as the previous witness mentioned, security cameras throughout the inside and outside, and we've helped the local police in Kent with a couple incidences that they've had in the city as they drove by.
There essentially can't be any dead spaces, 360 cameras inside, outside, and except for the restrooms have to be covered.
Bank vault. Yeah.
And you guys, do you have hours of operation or is that?
So we have at our Kent location, we're open 10 to 8, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 10 to 9, Thursday, Monday through Thursday, 10 to 9, Friday, Saturday, and 10 to 5 on Sundays.
And then the state would approve these hours when we get our certificate to operate. So we're thinking probably 9 to 9, but haven't been.
Yeah, and anytime you alter those hours, you have to get approval from the state before you can alter those, whether you want to close, whether you want to open an hour earlier, hour later.
And no area commission to present to, but no neighbors have said anything about this and. Do we have anybody here tonight that wants to speak about this application? Please come forward, sir. And what you guys did.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hello,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
State your name, whether or not you're sworn in.
My name is Clayton Schrei, and yes, I've been sworn in. So I am the real estate director for Aldi. I'm located in this shopping center.
In what shopping center?
And that is my building right there with the white roof. So I am here to speak in opposition of this, mainly because of this area does have a high level of crime as it is right now. We have recently had to elevate our security guards to off-duty police officers just to maintain the safety of the area for our customers and our employees. So I do fear that introducing this use would only elevate that issue. Anytime we go into a new shopping center, new development, we always restrict a cannabis dispensary for that exact reason, because of the amount of just derelict behavior that can associate with that. I do have a dispensary near my home in Worthington, and there is very regularly a outdoor line with cars speeding in and out of it. So knowing what I've seen with my own eyes here in our city, and knowing that this specific area does have a lot of homeless, a lot of crime, theft, as well as loitering in and around the store, specifically to the rear. Introducing something like this, I do fear for the safety of my customers and employees. Thank you.
So all these have that in their contract that it was not be permitted in this shopping district?
Correct. For this specific one, no, because that was not a part of the overall development that was there before we were. But because with the BZA, with opening the door, if you will, that's why I wanted to come here tonight.
So explain more, you say all these contracts with their leases, you restrict in the same
Shopping center. Yes, yes,
technically be.
that is correct. Although we do, we are Silver Drive as well. That's our address. So we are using the same entry points as this proposed use.
So you've heard, you've been here, I'm assuming,
Mhm.
you've heard the security administrator.
Yes.
Can't speak specifically to your student, but from what I'm hearing, they do seem to have upgraded security, for lack of a better term. Do you feel like that, just like you've upgraded your security?
Mhm.
Do you feel like make it even safer? I mean, because that's what I hear from people, is that things actually become safer with the increased presence of security and or law enforcement.
Hearing it certainly does sound enticing. Reviewing the data behind it, I would be interested to do so. But yes, I mean, that is encouraging to hear that with the 360 cameras that they had mentioned, that is encouraging. But again, there's a lot of foot traffic in this area that does bring a lot of problems to our store.
But I don't think anybody can do anything about that. Like I mean, there's a homelessness crisis, right? There's loitering, there's nothing, we can't prevent businesses from operating because that already exists in a space.
Certainly, completely agree. If there's any way not to bring additional problems to that area, though, I think that's just what brought me here today.
Yeah, but I think you're saying problems, and I don't think that we have a good assessment of what that really is. I mean, by their account, their customers are coming in, buying things and leaving. So if it's not their customers that are doing the loitering and having problems, then that's not on them, right?
Perhaps. I would say Kent and Columbus are two very different markets, however, just in terms of, population and demographics.
I mean, I don't even know, you speak of foot traffic, I don't want to compute that, I think you just more, I've been to this restaurant, I don't know the restaurant, like it Lowe's. It's not highly traveled by foot. It's almost entrance on the freeway, so people are usually driving in and out anyway.
Over that highway, there is a lot of foot traffic that we do get to our stores. We have a lot of the push carts across the highway. That's correct. And yeah.
I think I appreciate your testimony. I think that you're raising points that just are not resolvable here.
Mhm. And I don't mean to keep out business by any means. That specific parcel, as you just mentioned, has been turned over a couple of times. And if it's going to be safe for the community, that's a net benefit for all of us. I had not heard that data before this evening. So,
I mean, again, to Mr. Jones's point about temporary permits, I think these owners are, coming here tonight saying, hey, we're the operators, owners, they would be amenable to hearing feedback from you, probably on some kind of consistent basis to understand what are the problems that you're seeing, and they want to be a good neighbor. They've all said, their operations depend on community trust and partnership, so I think this is an opportunity to develop.
And I'd just add to that, thank you for that in Kent, we are a neighbor and we work with other local businesses. We work with charities. And we'd be glad to just make sure that that neighbor relationship is strong and that we're protecting the customers, whether it's in a dispensary, whether it's an Aldi, or whether it's in Lowe's.
If I could just add one other point, I think it's important from a regulatory perspective. We also have to have a security guard at every hour of that we're operation in the dispensary. So it is, in addition to the cameras and everything else, there is a security guard that's always on site.
Understood.
Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Anybody else here want to speak about this application? No, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I did. Just that we're committed to public safety for sure, because it benefits.
Yeah, I will say it is brought up before about potential employees, and we did hire 15 individuals to work at Kent, and they're not low-paying jobs. We started minimum at $17 an hour. Now they're all making $19 to $21 an hour. So it's a career that some individuals have said this is what they want to do.
So. 330706. I find, no significant incompatibility with the neighborhood, or detriment to the neighborhood, and the applicant has met the standards as set forth in Columbus ordinance to operate a dispensary. I'm inclined to grant the special permit. I'm ready for question. Question to be called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
I concur with the chair on think that the necessary steps have been taken to issue a special permit. I find that there are at least inclusive items that would cause us to not. So I vote against.
Mr. Malaka?
I also concur with the chair and, oh, yes.
Ms. Engelhoff?
Also concur with the chair.
Chair Palmgren?
Yes. Question granted.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, 727 East Weber Road.
Just listen.
Lovely.
BZA 23-071 for 727 East Weber Road. It's located on the southeast corner of East Weber Road in Homecroft Drive. It's zoned LC5, Limited Commercial District, and it's located in North Linden Area Commission. The 0.39 acre site is developed with a convenience store. Surrounding uses include a used car dealer to the west and single unit residential to the north, east, and south. The applicant proposes to allow food truck to remain on the property overnight and is requesting a special permit for portable building food truck to remain on the property without having to be moved nightly. Planning has no comment on the proposal, as neither the North Linden Neighborhood Plan Amendment nor C2P2 address this specific matter. Therefore, planning has no comment. Division of Traffic Management requested a right-of-way dedication of 40 feet from the center line of East Weber Road, and I believe that is in process. The North Linden Area Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the requested special permit. The staff is comfortable recommending approval, as the food trucks who wish to remain on site on a more permanent basis are being reviewed by both the neighborhood group and the BZA, which can impose conditions on a case-by-case basis. Further, the food trucks undergo annual inspections by both the fire and health departments for licensing.
Okay, can you say the names when you were sworn in?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Kiran Hashtamim, the owner of 727 East Weber Road. And I have been sworn in.
You,
I'm Tara Smith, and I have been sworn in.
who wants to speak on this?
Yes, it's, we've had food trucks for a while, and the city approached us, I think, a couple of years ago, saying that if it's not movable, it needs to have a BZA or a special permit for the food truck. And we have been going through the process for a while. We've been working with Steve and the city to approve a special permit on this truck. We've been through the North Linden Area Commission, and we've had a meeting with them and the neighbors, and it was anonymously, people were saying, yeah, they're okay with that idea.
So who owns the property?
It's a Spanish person. They've been operating it for a while now, and, but I'm the owner of the property itself. I'm not the owner of those food trucks.
Oh, you're the only, okay, that's what that. You're
Yes,
the owner of
the property, yes,
So you're asking for this? Okay.
yes.
Okay. So is the food truck operates from this site?
Yes.
Okay. What is their hours, do you know?
I think it's from 10 or 11 in the morning until 8 p.m. generally.
And is there outside lighting out here? Or
Yes, yes,
in this parking?
yes.
Okay. And there is maneuverability for access to the other building that was there? Like, does somebody have to review the location of this?
This has all gone through review, and that's why this is a 23 number. This was, there was a little bit of delay in addressing some of the comments and reworking the parking lot.
Okay.
But this has been reviewed by traffic, planning,
Okay.
and all.
So we will have a site plan that says it has to be right there where.
Yes, the site plan on the right is the proposed site plan.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Understand.
That's all. Same question.
So you don't have any, like I see trees there, street trees. You don't have that as a recommendation or condition?
No.
And there's 2 trailers, correct?
They need to provide the street trees, per zoning anyway.
I'm sorry, say it again?
The street trees need to be provided per zoning requirements. So that's, we don't have any condition on those being provided.
And I see the existing plan has 3 trailers and the proposed has 2. Is that correct?
3.
Yes,
Existing.
yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Wait. I thought the one on the right.
The right is the proposed.
There's 3 over there too.
No, that's a patio.
Oh. Maybe it's patio around there too.
Tree.
So yeah, how many trailers is it?
There are 2 trailers, but then there's a small trailer, I think, behind the main trailer.
That's not used for service?
It's only a storage, their stuff in there.
Is that in a special permit?
I think they're all included on the site plan because this is, there's a BZA that has been submitted and this is it. And then there is, we're working also on a site plan, updating the site plan for the site.
So this one should, again, what you're proposing shows only 2 existing food trailers, no storage.
Yeah, so the site plan, big proposed site plan is only showing 2.
Okay. Yeah, I think it, the main trailers are 2. And I think this is what we're gonna stick with. We're gonna ask them to move that storage, the small storage. So,
So you should realize that if we approve this, maybe
yes,
if you're not in compliance.
yes, 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 yes.
So there's 2 trailers that we're looking at tonight. Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Do you have any more questions for the applicant? So again, special permit 330706. This application looks like it has gone through the review. It is meeting the code standards for livability, parking, placement, et cetera, screening. don't see it as being a detriment to the neighborhood since it is actually on the site of another commercial operation, nor do I see it detrimental to the neighborhood. So, I'm inclined to grant the special permit for the pool. Now, usually, when we grant special permits for portable buildings, we do put a time stamp on them because.
Yeah.
So no time stamp. Okay.
For food trucks, but for,
For other ones.
temporary buildings, yeah.
Okay.
Off trailers.
No time stamp. No conditions. We're ready to call the question.
Question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Maleka?
I will concur again with the chair on her assessment and vote yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
I likewise will concur with the chair on her analysis and assessment.
Mr. Jones?
I too agree that the boundary factors have been considered, and for the most part, they are all satisfactory in approving the special permits. I vote yes.
Chair Pompeo?
Technically, it's not the dungeon factors, but that's okay.
What are they?
Just
Oh,
code section.
yeah. Oh, yeah, correct.
So I agree with myself and I vote yes. Permit granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 646 East Second Avenue.
Six forty-six East Second Avenue is located on the north side of East Second Avenue, approximately 165 from the east of North 9th Street. It is on R4 residential and part of the Milo Rogan Area Commission. The site is developed with a single unit dwelling and a detached garage. Surrounding uses are a mix of single and multi-unit residential. The applicant constructed a detached garage without permits. A variance is being requested to reduce the maneuvering area of the detached garage from 20 feet to 16. Planning staff has no comment on the applicant's variance request to reduce the required maneuvering space. The Milo Grogan neighborhood plan does not address maneuvering space in the design guidelines. The Division of Traffic Management states, the analyst of aerial imagery indicates that the property had access only to East Second Avenue from initial site development in the 1930s with until a parking pad that added access to the rear alley was constructed between 2019 and 2021 without necessary approval from the Department of Public Service. The Division of Traffic Management is not supportive of this application because it would legitimize a second access point to the right-of-way from a single-family property, which is not generally supported by the Division of Traffic Management, and because the requested variance to 3312.25 to reduce the minimum maneuvering area required would legitimize a parking configuration where vehicles entering and exiting the garage would likely need to maneuver onto neighboring property on the opposite side of the alley. Further, the the property owner's predicament with regard to 3312.25 could have been feasibly obviated by constructing the garage with a face 3 feet further to the south to provide the necessary 20 feet of maneuvering and avoid the need for a variance to 3312.25. The property owner's predicament could also have been obviated by constructing at the garage to connect to the existing driveway on the site rather than to the rear alley. If approval of this application is considered, a condition should be added to the board order that the existing access point to East Second Avenue need to be removed. The Milo Grogan Area Commission recommends approval with a vote of 6-0. City is recommending disapproval. Staff recommends disapproval. Staff defers to the Division of Traffic Management, who has determined that there is not adequate maneuvering area with the current parking configuration. Just going through the Duncans. Number one, we're against the property could have a beneficial use without the garage. Two, against variances are substantial as determined by the Division of Traffic Management. Three, the essential character of the neighborhood, we're in favor that it will not be altered. No government services will be affected. Knowledge of the zoning restrictions unknown, and predicament feasibility without the variance. The garage could have been built in compliance with the zoning code. And number seven, we're against that the maneuvering would occur on the neighboring properties. Okay.
So tell me.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's also a letter from a neighbor. Here, that's in front of you. That is from neighbor, I think. To the east with pictures.
So explain to me what the problem is with your neighboring.
There's required 20 feet maneuvering. The alley is 16 feet wide. So
So you were gonna have that. You're not gonna have 20 feet anywhere. The alley's only 16 feet wide.
they would have to move their garage 4 feet in, basically. And there's an updated site plan where she was originally measuring from there's an approach that I had her add. That's actually 17 feet because there's a 1 foot bridge.
So what is this picture showing?
That is from the neighbor showing you from the west side, which he listed in the email. One's from the west.
The one is. Showing what, yeah.
That's, I think those are all those pictures in front of you from the neighbor. That is from his garage, I believe. Is that your garage?
No, sir.
That's
not my garage.
that's his garage, and the one that would be, that's our first, yes.
So this is actually, it's a further view. Yeah.
Yeah. I just included everything.
Okay. Can you state your name when you were sworn in?
Yes, ma'am, I'm Sierra Favors, and yes, I was.
So. Got an issue here. We have a garage that looks like it's out further into the alley than your neighbors. So can you explain how we got there?
Yes, ma'am, or yes, to everybody. Thank you guys for taking time to, it like means a whole lot to me. I just got my first house this year. I'm a first time homeowner. It was a big deal. And it needed a garage, and there was a pre-existing parking pad. I saved up, I got a garage put on it. And then I got a note saying that it was a problem and I could have to tear it down. And so I've been going through the steps to try to figure out how to resolve it, but I didn't know that I needed a permit. Knowing that my family has a house for me to like notice or anything yet, so. The parking pad was pre-existing, so we thought there was already a garage built on it. I reached out to a company that I found on Facebook that had affordable garages. They came out, they built it, but I didn't know that I needed a permit at all, so I'm trying to go through whatever I have to try to keep this garage, because I don't have money to tear it down and try to get it rebuilt 3 feet back. But I would have if I knew that. I legitimately didn't know that I had to do that. But in the future, I'll, the next house will be better.
Can somebody bring up an aerial so I can see that?
So when you park in the garage and you back out and maneuver, just kind of walk us through your.
I don't park in the garage. The garage is used for storage. So if you go back to one of the pictures, you can see my car in the driveway. I can fit 3 to 4 cars there, so no one has ever even parked there. I got it in case I wanted to park there, but I had so much stuff from my other stuff and my mom's stuff that, like, if you go to my garage now, it's full of boxes and dog stuff.
So you can access your property on the front in this parking pad, and you can access your property from the back. From the garage, no?
No, ma'am, I brought you a picture if someone can take it up, but there's a fence that goes all the way around my property, so you can't get through. It's fenced. The only way to get to that garage would be through that alley.
You could remove the fence.
I mean, I'm talking about your car, like your car can go into the garage from the alley.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I thought you meant from the front of,
No, I mean, you can. You're parking on the side, accessing it from the front. You could park in the back, accessing the garage from the back.
yes, if I'd like to.
If the garage was an outbuilding and not a garage, or off the property line.
There's no rear setback, so it could be on the property line.
So if you take the garage door off and make it a storage shed, you wouldn't have to tear it down. You just couldn't park. Right?
True, just trying to think, how would we convert this,
You said
they would just need a building permit.
building it, right, take the garage door off, put the wall in. That would be the solution to not tear it down.
Or,
If you're using it for storage.
Or an easement, that would allow them to maneuver whatever options.
What we go through this process,
But who would the access easement be given by? The property owner directly behind them, that they would be,
to whichever property she's maneuvering onto, or theoretically, she's not using it, but
but are we,
A neighbor.
we ensure that there is actually some maneuvering that has to happen to Master Yard?
also traffic. stuff.
Just like they say, a lot happens. It's that.
No, but do we know that that's actually happening?
I mean, regards to maneuvering, that's based on the city code is 20 feet. And so typically we seek to maintain that, and if that is not provided, that it could encroach on that neighboring property. At least based on the aerial picture on the screen, it appears that that's some type of grass area. I don't know. That's being used for type of park. But, you know, that could potentially limit what that property could do with their property. Even if be a bottom of this garage. However, if there is opportunity to obtain some type of cross access easement, that could mitigate the issue as well.
So the city doesn't have a problem with two property owners agreeing to allow the encroachment,
Maneuvering.
Right.
the maneuvering.
Right, and then the property owner would have the legal right to maneuver onto that property to potentially access the lots.
And now we're running the land.
Right, that would be requested, yeah, to provide a plan is created.
Have you spoken to your neighbors about this?
No.
Right, so while you're not parking there right now, we do grant allowances that last with the property, has your ownership. So we would need to resolve this to either take away the parking or make the parking feasible. So for purposes of this, what's here tonight, you're asking us to reduce the maneuvering area. And I don't think that we have facts that are presented to us that would support that. But we're giving you opportunity to create facts that could support that. Either by getting the permit to build a storage shed, it's not a parking area, or seeking agreement with your back neighbor to allow you to go up to their property. And so with that, I think you would have to come back to us with no.
Not if we made that condition,
Okay, what,
that she obtained a cross-access easement to the property to the north, maybe 4 feet of maneuvering.
I think she needs both options to consider. I think.
What was the other option?
Make it work. Well, she wouldn't need to come back. She'd just have to make it code compliant first.
Right, she would have to come back. For the
but even if she had a easement, we would not be reducing the area, maintain the maneuvering area of 20 feet.
She'd still need the easement, because it's technically
No, I'm saying that that would not, we would still be saying, no, we're not gonna reduce the area. The area is still 20 feet. You
No, I
just-
think we still need the variance, I'm sorry,
Oh, do you?
even with the variance, yeah, we do that with side yards. You know, we do side yards for 3 feet, 2 feet, they still need the easement.
We should table it and then talk to the neighbor and make a decision on whether or not she wanted the easement or board of variance or maybe it's a storage unit. Those are your two options. So that tabling it will give you time to either talk to your back neighbor, work out that easement or begin it. Then you could make the correct choose a storage unit that we talked about, which would resolve that issue.
Actually, I just thought of something too. If we do consider this a storage shed, even though there was a parking pad, she would need a variance to reduce the parking from 2 to 1. And maybe a parking setback and a side yard setback and part of the driveway.
Yeah.
So that might bring it a bigger driveway house. So it's not like the cleanest way is to get from the neighbor. But yeah, again, I would table it until you can make sure you do that.
Okay.
So, maybe back. Do we table it until she does that, or do we condition it? Because tabling comes with a fee,
If we condition, she doesn't get it,
then she doesn't have it.
it's right. I mean, she still has to resolve the issue.
Right, but that does require a contact fee.
For the option.
Sorry, we're just gonna end the conversation, do not think.
It's okay. I appreciate you guys trying to help.
I'm just trying to prevent the back and forth. If we can, as a board, say, yes, we will approve this condition on her getting the easement, then it's the easement. If she doesn't get the easement, then she doesn't have variance, and she gotta figure out the next thing to do. She doesn't involve us unless she does this storage thing, which is a whole different thing.
I would recommend the table. And we'll work with you on that best solution.
But it is your decision to make.
That's all.
It costs if I table it?
Yeah.
You guys need to lay out what the fees are, which you understand.
What are the fees for tabling?
For residential, 1 it's not fair.
I thought it was like 600.
You can't say.
Not for residential.
Can't say it's not a lot.
All right, I think it's 150. Yeah, it should.
I think that was commercial.
That's commercial.
Distinction. We're going to work out.
I appreciate it.
Does the applicant have, a copy of this information and the letters?
And I was shocked by that because they've never said anything. And me and his wife are like, give each other flowers and cards and stuff. So I just got that tonight and I was like, I'm serious. I was like, dang. The husband never says anything though, so I guess.
Those 150.
So if I table it, I get a letter from the guy in my backyard and then I come back next month.
I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. To
Wait.
get the easement.
Yeah, you'd have to file with the recorder, but you'd have to get his permit, their permission first. So we're asking you to now at least see if that's a possibility that they would grant you that. And then come back and say, they are gonna grant me this, and if the board recommends approval or approves your request, then you can go make that filing. And that'll legitimize you with our office.
Okay, that's fine. I'll table.
Do we have anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Nobody is opposed to a tabling. Do we have any other questions or comments about the tabling? We have a motion. Moves.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Engelbaum?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Chair Palmgren?
Yes, tabled. Thank you.
Thank you.
909 West King Avenue.
99 West King Avenue is located on the south side of West King Avenue, approximately 900 feet east of Hess Street. Zoned in manufacturing and part of the Northwest Area Commission. The site is developed with a warehouse facility. Surrounding uses are warehouse facilities to the south and west, retail to the east, and office buildings to the north. The applicant proposes to convert a warehouse and facility to an eating and drinking establishment. Variances are being, sorry. Variances are being, I lost my split up, sorry. Variances are being requested to reduce the minimum parking space size from 9 feet by 18 feet to 9 feet by 16 feet, and to reduce the minimum number of required spaces from 109 to 10. Planning is generally supportive of the variances. The 5th by Northwest Area Plan states parking reduction may be appropriate for higher density mixed-use projects along King Avenue. Further, Columbus citywide planning policies guidelines consider parking reductions on factors such as accessibility to other modes of transit, a mixed-use development pattern of an area, and other factors. Staff note the proposal is on a corridor with transit access and is providing bicycle parking. The reduction is therefore supported. CTP2 guidelines also state service and loading zones should be located to the rear side or in an internal location to reduce visibility and noise, and should be screened appropriately. Staff generally concur with the applicant's statements of support. The Division of Traffic Management requested a parking study due to the substantial reduction in the on-site parking. Conducted by the Division of Mobility and Parking Service, the study supported the project, noting the site's limited capacity for additional parking, its proximity to transit and bicycle infrastructure, and secured agreements for overflow parking. The project is situated in a transitioning area with no significant concerns about residential parking overflow. Furthermore, the Division of Traffic Management advises that any proposed signage must not encroach into the vision clearance triangle at the intersection of King and the alley along the eastern frontage of the site. The 5th by Northwest Area Commission recommends approval with a vote of 5-0. Staff is also recommending approval. Staff can recommend approval of the proposed variance to reduce parking space size and the number of parking spaces aligned with the city's planning initiative. Additionally, a parking study was done by the Division of Mobility and Parking Services, which supports this adaptive reuse project due to its limited site capacity for additional parking, proximity to transit and bicycle infrastructure, and secured parking agreements for the overflow parking. The project is in a transitioning area with no significant concerns about residential parking overflow. And they can address the Duncan Staples. Check.
Okay, can you state your name, whether I am sworn in?
Eric Zartman, I have been sworn in.
Michael Liu, I have not yet been sworn
Aaron Ryan, promise that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, so the truth, please say I do.
in. I do.
Thank you. Who was speaking about this? David?
Thank you, Chair Palmer. Thank you, members of the board. My name is Eric Zartman, attorney for the applicant. I have with me Michael Liu from CBUS Holdings, the applicant. This site is at 909 King Avenue. It's currently zoned manufacturing. It's developed with a 7,840 foot warehouse flex building, and the footprint of the building takes up the entirety of the entire lot area. The applicant purchased the property in 2017. It slowly lost all of its tenants, and we are expecting that it'll be vacant pretty soon. The applicant proposes adaptive reuse of the existing structure, specifically remodeling the inside into 3 units, improving the outside of the building, improving the parking area, providing dumpster screening, and then building a front patio in an effort to revitalize the site. The applicant is a small business owner. They own a ramen restaurant, and so they have experience with restaurants. And they expect to attract other restaurant or restaurant adjacent retail uses to the site. In order to allow this change of use from warehouse to restaurant, The applicant respectfully requests a variance to reduce the parking from 109 to 10 and reduce the parking space sizes from 9 by 18 to 9 by 16. As you can see from the site plan, the building is already constructed, and so the limited amount of available parking space is an existing condition. It's on the south side of the building. The planning and traffic departments both recommend support of these variances, and the 5th by Northwest Area Commission voted unanimous for approval. We did a lot of work with the traffic department to receive their recommendation of approval. The first was to conduct a traffic parking study, which showed that there are approximately 60 on-street parking spaces within a close proximity walking distance to the site. This is any time of the day, weekend or during the week. Also, the applicant has reached out to its neighbors, as you can see on the board here, to secure 41. They have the opportunity to secure leases for 41 parking spaces. Our site is the red box, and then the green spaces are the ones that we have secured the opportunity to get leases for. In addition, as Adam noted, the parking department, in support of the variances, noted that this is an adaptive reuse, not a new build, so there is no opportunity to provide more parking areas on the site. The site is not located adjacent to any residential areas, so if there is any overflow parking on the street, it won't affect residential residents of Columbus. There's 2 CODA bus stops within a 5-minute walk, and also the the Olentangy Trail is less than half a mile, and then there's also a bike path that connects the trail to this site as well. Last thing, I wanted to note that this site has a practical difficulty in the fact that it was not rezoned along with the rest of the properties in the northwest area. If you could flip over to the zoning map. So you're all familiar with the zoning corridor, which one more down, please. Yeah, there you go. So our site is in that green circle. Every other property on King, 5th, and 3rd between Olentangy and Grandview were rezoned into the Title 34 zoning corridor. And if you're aware, they don't have minimum parking requirements. So we're literally the only block in this entire area that has minimum parking requirements in this whole neighborhood. Even across the street doesn't have minimum parking requirements anymore. So I would submit that, yes, we have a significant parking reduction request, but given that our neighbors don't have parking minimum requirements anymore, this request is within the character of the neighborhood, and it wouldn't cause any detriment to any other neighbors that don't have the same benefit. One last thing, with respect to the variance, the property would fail to realize a reasonable return on the property. It's an existing condition of the limited parking, and no matter what goes in here, whether it's an office or a retail or a restaurant, they're going to be in here with a parking reduction variance. It's just the nature of how big the footprint is on the property. So anyone that comes along will be asking for this, and this might be the last parking variance you see in the 5th by Northwest area on here. So we'd be happy to answer any questions and appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
How many patrons can the restaurant hold at one time?
So there are we're projecting 3 different areas. The front unit is definitely going to be a restaurant, and Michael can answer that. The other 2 units, we're not sure if they're going to be retail or a restaurant or office even. This variance that we're requesting is the max flexibility for that. But if you have a better idea of Chair Plummer's answer, you can go ahead.
No, you've answered it. The tenants haven't been identified yet, final use. But we wanted some flexibility, but the front space ideally would be some sort of restaurant use.
And how many patrons would, or how many tables or whatever?
It really depends on the concept, and I would select one that would fit this site. So depending on whether it's a full dine-in or more of a grab-and-go carry-out, it really depends. I don't have the specifics.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. So it's readily apparent that the site is underparked, and so any tenant that Michael would lease the space out to, they have to have an understanding that they need an operation that can work with limited parking. So Michael's fully aware of that.
Do we have anybody here that wants to speak about this? No. Will you call the question?
Yes, I'll call the question.
Question's being called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
I think that the variance request for joint is necessary because I won't say that this parcel was excluded, but this area does seem like it would benefit and should benefit from the same parking lack of parking restrictions with the other properties nearby and adjacent. The hardship certainly is not created by actions of the applicant, but I would respectfully disagree that everybody would need a variance. The reality of it is that building existed for a long time without a variance. In recent times have changed, yes. So it could be done without variance, a business could. I don't think that it will adversely affect the rights of adjacent owners at all. The granting of the variance will not adversely affect public health, safety, or general welfare. The variance will be consistent with the general spirit and intent of the zoning code as it exists today. I believe that's good. The variance sought is not, the variance sought is the minimum which will afford relief to the applicant. And I think you need more relief than, what you're asking for. There is no other economically viable use. I don't agree with that, but I do agree generally that you met the majority of the document factors necessary to approve the variances requested.
Ms. Rolko?
I'm voting yes, and I agree with my colleague's assessment of the zoning factors regarding this.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yeah, similarly, although the number 109 to 10 is kind of jarring, I do believe that if that's the case, finding out the factors, that's my colleague did the analysis way towards granting the variance. Yes.
Chair Paul Breland?
Yes, I agree with that as well. My vote is yes. Variance is granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
510, 516 Pine Street.
The chair. Chair, can we move number 12 up? The applicant sign is showing properly covering this stuff here.
On number 12.
Yeah.
Actually, we skipped over this for preliminary, but BZA 24-121 has represented at the site area commission right now. So they'd like we move to be added to the list.
Number 8.
What? It's what? Number 12.
Forget about what Amy said.
So 1855 East 17th Avenue.
East Como, 257 East Como.
Oh, you said it's 12?
That's what it said.
What are we doing?
Number.
Case 11
11
is B.
All right, so the request is to move case 11
Case 11.
up to be considered now, or can we just entertain both of them in the agenda?
You can tell me.
Chair, would you ask the, for entertainment, a motion to move case 11 up to
Can
be?
we have a motion to move case number 11 to be heard right now? So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, and I have some room for discussion. What is the purpose?
Our son is having breathing issues. He's had a fever all day, and they're headed to Children's.
So can you call the roll?
Ms. Malonka?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Chair Paul Breland?
Yes.
Thank you.
And 257 East Como Avenue.
257 East Como Avenue is located on the south side of East Como Avenue, approximately 110 feet east of Calumet Street. It is zoned R3 residential and part of the Clintonville Area Commission. The site is developed with a single-family dwelling. Surrounding uses are primarily residential. The applicant proposes to enclose an existing front porch. A variance is being requested to reduce the building setback from 25 feet to 20 feet along East Como Avenue. Planning is supportive of the request. The Clintonville Neighborhood Plan states new housing, garages, and additions should be compatible and similar in character to existing nearby home designs, and measured in terms of similar height and width, setbacks, and lot coverage, but do not need to be duplicative of historic style. Staff note that the work in this project is not substantial and is compatible with the adjacent neighborhood. Therefore, planning is supportive. Division of Traffic Management had no comments, and the Clintonville Area Commission recommends approval with a vote of 5-0. Staff can recommend approval as the proposal aligns with the existing development patterns in the area and will not negatively impact the character of the neighborhood. Chair.
Can you state your name when you're sworn in?
Daniel Ketzer, and yes.
Do you have anything else to add to this application?
I guess the only thing I have to add is, as part of the Clintonville Area Commission, we did get letters of support from both our left and right neighbors, as well as neighbors across from the street.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Do you have any questions for the applicant? If not, I'm ready to call the question. We don't have to go through the Dunkin' document because the city was in favor of approval.
Well, Chair, I would still ask that the Dunkin' factory be evaluated on the record.
I would say staff is appropriate.
What? The board should still go through.
Oh. I was, okay. So,
I believe we still need a call button.
let me see, the Dunkin' factors, this is not a unique condition. Hardship is not created by the actions of the applicant, and also existing porch, not affecting any rights of adjacent owners. We've heard that the owners, the actual adjacent property owners are in favor, will not adversely affect any public health, safety, and welfare. The,
I'm sorry to interrupt, Chair. I'm not sure what you have in front of you, but I don't just approach and give you the.
yes, I'm like, right, I was like, thank you.
Thirty-three oh seven point oh nine in the city codes.
Okay, so these are the Dunkin' factors. Whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or there can be any beneficial use without the variance, that answer would be yes. Is the variance substantial? Say no, going from 25, setting a setback from 25 to 20. The character of the neighborhood substantially altered or adjoining properties would suffer substantial detriment. Said no, because we have on the record the neighbors are in support. Any reverse delivery of governmental services? No. Did the property owner purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction? Yes. The property owner's predicament easily can be obviated with some other method than variance? No. And whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed, substantial justice is done by granting the variance. It would be observed. And so don't find anything significant in these chapters that would call out the yay or nay. So finding nothing to prevent us from moving forward, I would say we should grant the variance.
All questions?
Question been called, please call the roll.
Ms. Egelhoff?
I have to agree with my colleague and chair's analysis on Dunkin' factors, and I likewise would yes.
Mr. Jones?
I also concur. I feel that majority of the Dunkin' factors
Mr. Malaka?
I also concur with the assessment, the Duncan factors, and vote yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey?
Yes, variance granted.
Thank you.
Okay. 510, 516 Martin Street.
So I. Are you here for 516 Pine Street?
Yeah.
And you have a recommendation?
Well, one of us is going to go down to the, it's outside.
Gotcha, so you.
Let me speak if I could on that, because there's been a little bit of, oh, I'm sorry, apologize.
So do you still want to be placed last on the agenda?
We want to speak now if we could. Is that possible? I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, it would be the board's decision, so Dan can explain to the board what's happening.
So what happened was there was a miscommunication between the area commission and the applicants. They do not have, at least as far as I understand, at this point, a recommendation from the area commission. Their area commission hearing date is tonight at 6:30.
We have a committee approval and also we have a site approval that was done on Saturday.
That's not an area commission.
Okay, no problem, no problem. But also too,
Wait, you state your name for the record.
I'm Clarence Simmons. I'm the owner of Simcoe Construction, Simmons Development Corporation. So we're doing this, this is an affordable housing project for Central Ohio Land Bank. So we've been in this process since August, September. We were on the docket for October, whatever, and the meeting was postponed for whatever reasons they had or whatever, you know. So at this point, we were told, hey, come, try and see if you can get in here, whatever, state your case, what's going on. We're looking for a 1 foot variance of the parking space. And with that being said, we've had nothing but, total cooperation, excuse me, with Southside Area Commission. And at the same time, the misleading wasn't our fault. So at this point, it's costing me time, money, my clients, trying to figure out what's going on. This is an affordable housing project or whatever. They've got buyers in place, and we're just trying to move this along best we can.
He's not, I don't know, I can't be honest to go forward without the three commissions.
It's your policy, so that's what the applicant is asking if you will.
Yeah,
We appreciate it. Thank you very much for your cooperation.
so.
This is Jason
My
Miles.
name's Jason Miles. I have been sworn in.
You just wanted, can I swear you in? You promise that the testimony gets back to the truth, that the truth, please say I do.
I do.
Okay. State your name for the record,
Jason Miles.
okay,
Jason Miles.
and you
Happy
can sign
to.
that sheet right there. We'll be of the city, so not for the case, and then we'll bring it back to you.
All right. 510 to 516 Pine Street is located on the northeast corner of Pine Street and Lyle Alley. It is in the Southside area, previously mentioned, and existing zoning is R4 residential district. The 0.16 acre site is currently undeveloped. Surrounding uses include single and multi-unit dwellings to the north, south, east, and west. The applicant proposes to construct two-unit dwellings on the subject parcels. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the total number of required parking spaces for each two-unit dwelling from 4 to 2, to increase maximum building lot coverage from 50% to 51.68% for 510 to 512 Pine Street, and from 50% to 54.55% for 514 to 516 Pine Street, and to increase lot coverage of for a detached garage from 45% to 45.83% for 514 to 516 Pine Street. Staff find the request consistent with T2P2 guidelines and generally concur with the applicant's statements in support, but requesting the garage setbacks be reduced to 5 feet or less for greater compatibility with nearby structures consistent with T2P2 guidelines. The Division of Traffic Management states that the extent of the requested variance to reduce minimum required number of parking spaces is less than the threshold for a parking study to be required per the Department of Public Service parking variance review guidelines. At the time of writing this report, Columbus Southside Area Commission has not issued a recommendation for this case. As for the city's independent review, we do recommend approval, as staff can recommend approval as the proposed development matches the character of the surrounding neighborhood and addresses the city's goal of increasing housing density and housing availability. Check.
Okay, so I'm understanding we're going from parking 4 to 2 for each dwelling, 2 dwellings.
Sure.
Which then necessitates the area. Yes, okay. Who wants to speak?
I'll speak. So.
Well, let me ask a question.
Sure.
So we do normally like to have the area commission's ruling opinion on this. Please start by explaining why you don't have it.
We placed the application in, obviously, sometime in September, whatever, for whatever reason. I think we have an email that speaks to, maybe you guys have as well, that the meeting was postponed or whatever the case for October.
I can find a little closer.
The meeting was postponed by the Area Commission for October. We were on the docket. So here we are now. It just so happens that they both saw on the same day. And we've been working we've already had as I mentioned, a site plan approval and also a subcommittee approval as well. And then we have a standard recommendation form that is, this is the one that was signed.
Yeah, so I attended the, I thought it was the area commission meeting, but it was a subcommittee meeting, a civic association meeting. So I received a form from Mr. Ted Welch, and it said recommendation form, Southside Area Commission, which I had sent to Dane. So I was under the assumption that I had approval because he sent me the standardized form and said we were approved. And then I think last week I found out, oh, you don't have full area commission approval, only with this civic association. So I originally was thinking we were good in our approval because we received the standardized form, which I know I've talked to Dane. So there's some confusion on whether they should have sent me this form. Signed. But I did go to the zoning site hearing this past Saturday, which we received approval. I think it was 8-1, 8 yay versus 1 nay. So yeah, tonight is the full Southside Area Commission, which I'm probably gonna try to go to now. But so it's been a process, and there have been, I think the last, Clarence was speaking of, the last site visit zoning hearing was canceled for the month of October. So that kind of pushed things back too. So yeah, we do, we're working in full cooperation with the Southside Area Commission, and we've received approvals through their civic association and their zoning committee. And then that last piece is the whole Southside Area Commission.
Form signed?
Yes, well.
We do have.
In the applicant's defense, the individual with that particular subgroup.
That print-off actually was not signed. But
in the applicant's defense, that document that was signed, they did not change the heading.
That was
SRF, so
that
it
was
doesn't
not
say come to Southside Area Commission.
Yeah.
And in fact, those subgroups are not supposed to, at least as far as I understand, they're not supposed to use the standard recommendation form. That is just for the area commissions. That is one of the items that led to the confusion.
Yeah. This body that issued this is not a city body. It's a civic association.
Correct. And it should have gone to the area commission, not to the city. And if it was going to go to the city, it should not have said Columbus Southside Area Commission at the top.
I got you.
Yes.
What is the subdivision, or what is the?
It should, I think it says somewhere towards the bottom. It like says sub area something.
Four, I think it's the area four. Email you the sign.
Is this a subcommittee of the Southside Area Commission?
Correct, yeah.
So they approved it.
It just hasn't gone to the full commission, yes.
But they're not just a civic association, they are a recognized subset of the city's Southside Commission.
I'm not well versed with the bylaws of Southside Area Commission. I don't know if.
Well, like with most area commissions, for example, the area commission I live in is the Near East Area Commission. My sub-district is the Franklin Park Civic Association. You'd have to go to the Franklin Park Civic Association first, then a site visit, then the full commission, or zoning meeting, zoning subcommittee, and then the full commission meeting.
That's too confusing.
Yeah.
Real confusing.
You don't have to go before Franklin Park Civic Association. Franklin to the area commission. You need to do because that's a recognized.
They are.
by the city. And that's what I'm trying to get clarity on. Is this like Franklin Park Civic Association?
That is like Franklin Park is what I'm trying to say. That is your group and up and onto the Provo South side.
So they kind of defer to them to get their opinion first. But this is not part of the true city of Columbus recognized outside, not even a subcommittee. Like some have zoning subcommittee.
Correct.
This is not even that. Yeah, okay.
So,
You are innocent property owner.
yeah,
This looks like this was what we need.
Yeah, even to us in planning, when we receive it's not planning, so we wouldn't receive an SRF, especially one that says the area commission title at the top.
It's signed.
So I would not want to delay another month. They said on the record that they had the zone meeting, said at the site visit, this group was approved, that it sounds like this meeting is nice rubber stamp on that, and I'm fine with putting that on the record to let Southside area commissions know that we're not, usurping their authority, we're not riding over them, but we understand that they've had input on this property. They have not expressed any objections that you cannot see any objections.
not that we've heard of. This entity has done work in the area. There's precedent, obviously, whatever. So we're just kind of following along with, yeah.
Is there anybody here to speak about this application tonight? Do we have any questions from the board?
Do you have any concern about moving setback on the alley to 5 feet in row 7?
So that's what the planning had requested, but on further review, having them move that setback back further would have encroached upon the
Alleyway
maneuvering required.
Yeah.
in the alley. So we
You tossed that?
dropped that.
Because it puts it in it.
Chair, I have one clarification. You said the vote was 8-1 on the site visit.
Yes.
Do you know what what the reasoning was? It's fine.
Yeah, one member did have a question about the space between the two garages, since the lots are only 30-foot wide, and there's a minimal space between the two garages. It's about 1 foot. She would like 3 feet between. It's just not possible with the width restriction of the lot. So, but she's.
Well, that kind of brings up a question. How do you maintain that side of the building, painting, for power washing, for gutters?
So these 4 will be part of I guess you could say a condo association, so they'll pay into, and there's a maintenance fee they pay into, and then there's a entity that through COSIC, Franklin County Land Bank, that will help to maintain that small piece or whatever case may be.
Speak to the practicality. So for example, when we have people build 1 foot off of the property line, we typically say, hey, we encourage you to cost maintenance access. So you could paint, maintain, and whatever. I don't know if that was the thought process for the person.
I think that is part of the process.
So what is this?
Well, I guess we'll work on that. Maybe we won't.
Yeah.
There was, if I may, there was an email correspondence that I saw that I think it came through just today about proposing the garages be 12 feet wide instead of 14. Is that something that?
Yeah, to reduce, so there's 2 properties. One has a setback due to a vision triangle. So the 516, they're adjacent, but the 510, 512, one garage has to be set back for the vision triangle for the alley and the road. So with that one, we can reduce, I think, one garage was 12 foot wide, one was 14 foot wide. So that could be a consideration. We could reduce the width to give more space in between for the 512 or 5.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
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 We want to benefit everybody. We don't want to set somebody up for the future.
Yeah.
So something to consider.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Any more questions? Are we ready for the question?
Yes, I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
Give me the time. Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have done it before you.
Yes, you should.
I was wondering what was going on.
No, I'll do it. Number one, I think that based on what you're building and the purpose for building, that there can be beneficial use. Recognizing that what you're doing is for a lawful cause for affordable housing, I think there still could be beneficial use of the property without the variance. So we don't need that one. The variance is not substantial, so that's a favorable, so there we go. It won't change the character or substantially alter adjoining properties. Nobody would suffer as a result of approving this variance. The neighborhood will benefit from this more than anything else by creating more housing. The variance will not adversely affect delivery of governmental services. You're over accommodating by creating a vision triangle so that if city services need to access, they can with no issue. And the property owner didn't necessarily purchase the property with this knowledge, understanding what their mission is, but they're working with it as best they can, with the circumstances. So overall, I feel like the dumping factors, the majority of them have been met in order for us to approve these variances requested.
Mr. Maleta?
Go yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
I likewise concur with all this assessment dumping factors, so yes.
Chair Palmgren?
Yes, as well, variance is granted, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll take a 5-minute hygiene break, everybody.
Okay. I might have been one base. So we're leaving where we say. Right away. When we do it. They're not that close to where they are. You say, strong, short of fun.
That was Adams.
No, I didn't go. Jamie, go there.
All right, get on that.
So the application.
Yeah.
They gave us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a weird.
No, that's the job.
Yeah, those are the shortcuts from our.
Test first. So, as you say, so like, oh, just a copy of the code with, service.
What is going to be my real response? All right, in purchase. Additionally, sure, approach to be done with them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
then I usually have a step back over registration.
You're right.
What's this?
It's just for notes, it's for note taker.
What's this?
So that's like that.
This is part of the. Yeah. Oh, somebody probably did. Yeah.
They said, don't get that, it's your channel, right? Yeah. It's for note taking.
Finally, that's, there's one they have like.
So.
There are ones, it's just. I would have to write out exactly what they just. Reports. Oh, actually, you guys think, it was always confusing how that one.
Yeah.
Got broken up, they were three parts. And answer each one in minutes. Then we also had a cheat sheet that is like. You answer this. They actually. Well, no, it was. Yes, on this one is applicable. Yes, for the dogs, but a no on this one. It's yes. So it's. Yes, it's solved. Yes. They have. But if it's like. Okay. That'll show, yeah, what did you get? I just printed it out. I really don't double back. That's what. Double back. It's word respect. Yeah. That's really hard. I mean, well, yeah, no, that's great job. Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. Or you could just print out there as part of the. Because it's been the same from the application. Went into 7. Like I had a feeling. It was about that. First. That's all I did. Yeah, let me share with you.
No, we already had. We already had this.
Yeah, sure. We have next. What was the letter? He's not in school. So once he's been out of town. I checked this. I thought yours was pretty good. Joe, but it's weird. But the problem is. Oh, okay. I thought the other way around.
And this is.
This morning. Oh, and I figured out getting it more.
It's a specialized system of constellation. It's always a lot.
That's not, that's what I'm trying.
Yeah, it's not this kind of thing.
Well, I mean, it's not that it's cute, it's not a thing more.
But that's why. We need to explain. We need to explain. We need to explain like, okay, we need to explain water.
The day in medical marijuana. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, everybody knows.
Yeah. First, I should make it better.
Yep.
Okay. Our last couple of cases, 2375 refugee hiking.
Twenty-three seventy-five Refugee Park. It's located on the west side of
It doesn't, it's giving feedback, yeah, it's just yelling.
Talk loud.
2375 Refugee Park is located on the west side of Refugee Park, approximately 660 feet south of Refugee Road. It's zoned, located in the far south Columbus Area Commission and Zone M Manufacturing District. The 1.63 acre site is currently developed with a manufacturing facility. Surrounding uses are all manufacturing. The applicant is requesting to establish a pet crematory and is requesting variances to reduce interior parking lot trees from 3 to 0 while providing 3 trees in the refugee park parking setback, to reduce the parking setback line from 25 feet to 4 feet, and to reduce the number of required parking spaces from 31 to 28, as well as a special permit to allow a pet crematory use in a manufacturing district. Planning supports the requested proposal. Staff note that the updated site plan shows the addition of 3 street trees along the refugee park, as well as shrubs in the existing green space adjacent to the cul-de-sac, consistent with C2P2 guidelines. Staff additionally note the inclusion of bicycle parking on the site plan to mitigate the reduced number of parking spaces and thus supportive of the requested parking reduction. For these reasons, planning supports this application. The Division of Traffic Management states that the extent of the requested variance to reduce the minimum required number of parking spaces is less than the threshold for a parking study to be required per the Department of Public Service parking variance review guidelines. The Far South Columbus Area Commission recommends approval of the request with a vote of 5 to 0 with 3 abstentions. Staff can recommend approval of the request as this is an appropriate location and zoning district for the use, and the variances requested are to conform existing conditions. The impact of the requested variances will be offset by the inclusion of 3 street trees and shrubs in the green space adjacent to the cul-de-sac, as well as the inclusion of bicycle parking.
So you're saying 3 street trees would be, take the place of the 3 parking lots?
Yeah, so they're not provided on the lot, but they are in the setback, and planning is fine with that. However, since they aren't provided on the lot, we do need the variance for those.
Okay, can you state your names, whether or not you were sworn in?
My name is Dave Perry. I'm here as consultant for the applicant. I have not been sworn.
My name is Edward Albright, with Pet Cremation Services. I have been sworn in.
Okay, Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Do you promise that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Who's going to speak?
Great, thank you. Members of the board, the application is as stated by staff. Pet Cremation Services is presently located on Frank Road, 891 Frank Road. They've been located there for 27 years. And they've outgrown the facility. The facility is dated. They do not have room in the building, for example, for office and customer reception area and so on. So the proposal is to relocate Pet Cremation Services to 2375 Refugee Road, or excuse me, Refugee Park, sorry. The parcel is a lot in an industrial subdivision. Refugee Park runs south from Refugee Road and is north of Frank Road. It not only is the industrial subdivision zone manufacturing, but a very large area surrounding the property on Refugee Road is zone manufacturing. So we have 2 components of the request. One is a special permit, and one is the variance component, as noted by staff. Special permit, as you know, has 3 requirements for your findings. That in the case of the crematory, Chapter 3389 is located in the C3, C4, M district. This is located in the M district. There are funeral homes. This is exclusively for pets, but there are funeral homes with cremation units all over the city in the C3 and C4 areas also. But it meets the zoning district requirement of the special permit, and then the other criteria about without substantial detriment to the public good and without substantial impairment of the zoning district. We feel those have been met. Given the location, it's developed with a 22,000 square foot industrial building built in 1979. So the building is existing. There are some site modifications occurring. For example, all of the site has gravel on it. There's certain site upgrades with the pavement and so on occurring. The trees we requested to locate in the setback rather than interior to the parking lot to not create landscaping islands in an area where there'll be a substantial amount of truck circulation and so on. So the variances as stated also reflect existing conditions. And this location will allow pet cremation services to relocate to a larger building and conduct their business accordingly. All the business is conducted inside and have their offices and other facilities within the same building.
And as we've done with prior approvals of crematories, you have the applicable relevant agency approvals needed to run a crematory.
Pet cremation services does. The furnaces are regulated by the EPA and specifically marketed for this purpose.
Anybody here to speak about this application? Do you have any other questions for you? Okay, so going to our different factors here for the variances, which are the parking lot trees, setback, and parking. The property could yield a reasonable return without those things, but we find that I'm convinced by your argument that this is primarily truck traffic, and so no need for it to be the interior parking trees to be there. And so I don't find it to be substantial modifications, specifically because it's an industrial area already. The character of the neighborhood would not be altered. This would potentially fit into that space. The property owner possibly knew or should know about these zoning restrictions. But there's no way to create the parking without reducing the setback line. So the spirit of the intent and zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting these variances. As for the special permit, don't find this would be a detriment to the neighborhood. Again, this is an industrial. They're operating under the auspices of the FDA approval, the EPA approvals. No property owners have been nearby have been addressed an issue with the property. And there's another one. The variance. The special permits.
Spirit and intent of zoning that would be observed.
Oh, yes, the catch-all. Spirit and intent of the zoning would be observed. Okay. With that said, do we have anything else we want to add to the record? Ready to call the question?
Call the question.
Question involves Alderman.
Mr. Malacca?
I concur with the assessment from our chair. I can vote yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
I likewise concur with the factors or death as well as frequencies, special permits.
Mr. Jones?
I too concur. I think that all of the majority of the factors have been met or usually mitigated based on location and surrounding properties. So yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes. Mayor and Granite, special permit grant.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
4120 Kenny Road.
Right. 3120 Kenny Road is located on the east side of Kenny Road, approximately 100 feet north of Woodmere Road. It's part of the Northwest Civic Association, and existing zoning is RR Residential District. The 0.34 acre site is currently developed with a single unit dwelling and an existing 616 square foot detached garage. Surrounding uses include similar single unit dwellings to the north, south, east, and west. The applicant proposes to construct a 484 square foot detached garage in addition to the existing detached garage. And the applicant is thus requesting variances to reduce the Medhurst Road building setback from 25 feet to 6 feet for the existing garage, and to reduce the Kenny Road setbacks from 15 feet to 17 feet for the existing single family dwelling as an existing condition, and to increase the area dedicated to private detached garage space from 916 square feet to 1,100 square feet. Planning is supportive of the request. The Olentangy West Area Plan states new infill housing design, housing additions, and garages should be compatible with adjacent nearby housing design and measured in terms of similar height, width, and setbacks. Staff notes that provided elevations are consistent with the existing detached garage on the site and therefore are supportive of the proposal. Staff also concurs with the statements provided in the by the applicant related to the request. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Northwest Civic Association has recommended approval of the requested variances, voted unanimously. City Department's recommendation is likewise that of approval. Staff can recommend approval as the increase in allowable garage area does not exceed the footprint of the primary structure. We do ask that the following condition be considered: that the applicant shall commit to the stamped elevations to commit to the roof pitch.
So you did not give us the footprint. What is that?
Oh, the footprint, like the square footage footprint? We can go ahead and close that up just to double check. Should be, yeah, refer to the site plan. No.
The existing single family dwelling is 2,793 square feet. Footprint would be about 1,400.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, state your name, your city name.
I haven't. I'm John Casado, and I haven't been sworn in.
Promise that the testimony you give tonight is true, and that if it's true, please say that I do.
Yes, I do.
Okay, either one of you want to add to this application?
Sure. My name is Dave Perry. I'm here as agent for John and Marianne Cusado, the property owners, and it is their primary residence. You have owned, the Cusados have owned the property for about 10 years. The existing 616 square foot garage was there with their purchase. The zoning code allows additional garage area greater than 720 square feet when the 1/3 of the dwelling area is larger than 720. In this case, 916 square feet would be permitted without variance. So 616 is the existing garage. The proposal is to build an additional 484 square feet, which puts total garage area at 1,100 rather than 916 square feet. The Cusados have a minimum of 3 vehicles and have other incidental storage needs driving the need for the request for the garage. This is exclusively incidental storage related to their dwelling. There's no habitable area. There's no dwelling unit. There's nothing other than incidental storage.
What is this little structure to the north?
That is a Columbia gas regulation building on its own tiny parcel. Cusado's ownership wraps around it, but they don't own the Columbia gas building.
Yeah. I looked at it, it looked like it could have been an old building.
It is not an apartment.
Is there anybody who is speaking on this application? So taking us through our limiting factors, we find that, the variances appear to be substantial, but considering the lot and the existing property, they're not, substantial. I don't think appear for the neighborhood to be altered. The property obviously could yield a reasonable return. It could be used without this variance if the owner has been living there for 10 years. But it does not appear that the spirit and intent of the zoning requirement would be lost if we were to allow this additional garage space. Government services would continue as normal. And there's really no other way to add storage to this than to have a separate building, so. I think that the young factor would support a approval for these variances. Anything else to add?
Chair, I wanted to mention, Monica Tuttle, the zoning chair for Northwest Civic, had to leave due to another appointment to get to, but she asked me to give you her condolences about having to leave. Northwest Civic was unanimously in favor of this.
Okay, thank you. And you all in agreement that this would be stamped conditions, and this is final?
Yep. Yep, the Casados are ready to build.
Call the question.
Ms. Engelhoff?
I concur with the chair's analysis and stuff and factors on vote yes.
Mr. Jones?
You can start. And go forward.
Mr. Malaka?
I agree as well. Yes.
Chair Plummer Beasley?
Yes, fans ready.
Very good, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
1655 and 17 Avenue.
Uh, 1855 East 17th Avenue is located on the north side of East 17th Avenue, approximately 200 feet east of Taylor Avenue. Is zoned M manufacturing and part of the North Central Area Commission. The site is developed with a 20,000 square foot warehouse currently used for Evergreen Cemetery services, located adjacent to the cemetery grounds. Surrounding uses are manufacturing to the north, south, and east, and residential to the west. The applicant proposes to change the use of the warehouse to allow for funeral parlor services. Variances are being requested to reduce the minimum maneuvering area from 20 feet to 18 feet, and to allow parking spaces to be on a surface made of compacted asphalt millings. Planning generally supports the request. The requested variances are minor and appropriate, generally supports the requested variance. Staff encourage the applicant to consider adding street trees along 17th Avenue with guidance from the city forester. Staff note that the proposed parking lot is located in the rear of the building and not visible from 17th Avenue. Staff also note the parking lot appears to encroach on the paper alley to the south of the site. Division of Traffic Management had no comments, in the North Central Area Commission recommended approval with a vote of 8-0. Staff can recommend approval as the proposed variances are minor and appropriate for the site's proposed use. Staff feels that the allowances of parking spaces on compacted asphalt millings is acceptable because the adjacent residential property to the west is undeveloped and the area is completely enclosed with fencing, minimizing any potential impact. And the applicant has addressed the standards. Chair.
Okay, can you say your name, whether you were sworn in?
David Hodge, attorney for the applicant, and I have been sworn. My name is Thor Triplett. I'm the owner of the property, and I have not.
Raise your hand. Promise that the testimony you say is the truth, nothing but the truth. Please say that I do.
I do. Thanks, Chair Palmer Bailey, two variances here. The first is to reduce an aisle width up on the north side of the property. That's actually to legitimize an existing condition. You can see we're here on the south side of 17th. Those parking spaces exist on the north side of the building. It's the old Marimore Chocolate Factory, this property. And those parking spaces have long been striped on the north side of this building with an 18-foot aisle. So we are asking to legitimize that condition. The other is to allow us to proceed working with development on essentially these spaces along the south side of the building that you see there. And that is to work with development regarding not paving the lot with hard surface. The city code says that you can request of the development department a hard surface waiver, but you cannot do so if you are within 400 feet of residentially zoned property. So all of the properties along the west side of this are residentially zoned. You see they're on the west side of Taylor Avenue. Those are residentially zoned, but they are undeveloped. We also think they are undevelopable based upon a ravine and a stream and the fact that they've been there residentially zoned for many years, and no development has happened. This simply allows us to go forward with proving up what we'd like to do, which is some roller compacted asphalt millings in lieu of somebody going in there and doing either cement or asphalt or some other hard surface. Thor and his son Hunter have long been in the neighborhood. You might hear from some neighborhood folks. They own the not just this, but also the Evergreen and East Lawn Cemetery, which are down south of here. This did go to the North Central Area Commission. Their recommendation was unanimous in support of the application. Grateful for staff's support, and this is seemingly some ongoing improvement in the neighborhood and provides us the opportunity to finally get this funeral home open and to provide adequate parking around the facility. And I will stop there. Happy to answer questions.
What is meant by funeral parlor services?
It's, excuse me, it's a funeral home.
But how is it different than what it's doing now?
Well, I mean, it's actually not much different. The only issue is that in order to do a funeral arrangement, then the property has to be zoned or has to be used as a funeral home in order to make funeral arrangements. So I'm a funeral director, but I can't market a funeral in that building until I get the permission from the Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors. So that's the purpose.
So the property is previously a chocolate factory, and Thor bought it many years ago and has held it, has used it in furtherance of his cemetery business that's, south of this property. This is finally taking this old Marimore chocolate factory building and converting some of the internal space to a funeral home use.
Yes.
So you're not looking to circumvent the requirements of funeral parlor services. In fact, you're just waiting to be. What's wrong?
No, I was just listening to what you're saying.
You're just waiting on the final approval to be considered by the Embalmers Association or whatever you described.
Yeah, I mean, once the variances, go through, presumably that we have to get an occupancy permit with the city of Columbus. And then once we obtain the occupancy permit, then we go before the Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors to get it licensed. But, it would, the property has already served the purpose for arrangements that the cemetery can arrange that are separate from the Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors.
So you're trying to make it full circle, given the cemetery can do.
Yes.
And so the buildings that you're referring to, are they what I see in some of the city alleys that are kind of fibrous, but, they're not gravel, but there's cohesion to it.
That's correct. And it's a really interesting section of city code. That section explicitly says that they want to encourage people to use permeable types of applications, but that you're required to use a hard surface, but it leaves open the opportunity to get this hard surface waiver. But it's subject to the discretion of the director of development through this hard surface waiver process. And the code says that that shouldn't be within 400 feet of residentially zoned property, presumably not wanting to impact adjacent residences with dust or various other things that might go along with gravel, which the type of roller compaction that you see here is not really a big dust application. And that's a separate process that we're going to go through with development to do this within 400 feet of the residentially zoned, but not residentially used property today.
That's my question. So is this just a cheaper alternative? Is that the reason why?
Yeah, it's an existing alternative. We are not going to go forward with a full application to do a hard surface waiver for the entirety. If you flip back over to the site plan, we show that the necessary number of parking spaces is there striped on the south side of the building. At least initially, we would go forward to make use of that and then work directly with development on any additional hard surface waiver that we'd want to get.
Do you know how specific the city is with that? Because I recognize that that area has not been developed residentially, and you suggest that maybe it can't be. But I imagine that this is going to be funeral parking at some point. It will have lots of traffic, and I would just want to understand better what the service is and what it has the ability to do.
Thor can best answer this question.
With regards to his suggestion on the properties to the west, if you look across the street from the subject property, the city of Columbus developed a retention pond. And that retention pond, when they dug it all out, they came across 17th Avenue to the south, and then they went down Taylor Avenue to the west of the subject property.
Which is unimproved, right?
Well, it was improved. Taylor Avenue from 17th Avenue to 16th Avenue was an improved hard surface. And then when the contractor came through, they used like huge Terex Titan trucks to, carry huge amount of spoils from the retention pond. And then they brought it down Taylor Avenue, heading south, continued south into where Windsor Avenue dead ends into, now it's a little further on that page there. Well, anyway, they wound up bringing it and dumping it at the end of Windsor Avenue, the dead end of Windsor Avenue. And when the project was completed, the city did not budget, or it was not in the contract with the stormwater developer and the retention pond to replace Taylor Avenue. So all of the properties that are on the left side of Taylor Avenue, all of those properties, the front door of the house would have been facing Taylor. So at this point, because Taylor was left unimproved, they never put the street back or anything back, then essentially renders those lots that face the east on Taylor would not have an address because they wouldn't be accessible. They wouldn't be accessible to the street, right?
Well, I mean, I think, and I appreciate your explanation. I think you're going down a different path than I would ask it, but those are legitimate parcels. And they could be developed.
If the city put this road back.
Or if a private developer put the road back.
But the road back.
Well, the city has been reluctant, over these many years since the project has been completed to even entertain the idea.
If somebody was to buy one of those lots and put a house in there, the city would likely, and Mr. Blexnitz here from traffic management, I work with those guys all the time. The city often obligates the developer to do the street construction.
Reconstruction.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got my own issues like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like we're this allows us to go engage the development department in a conversation about the appropriateness of this roller compacted asphalt millings on the property within 400 feet of residentially zoned property. This isn't, we're not asking for a decision tonight on whether or not the city approves that. It just allows us to make the application to the development department to undertake the analysis through the various city agencies.
Understood 100%.
Okay.
We need to say yes to that.
Correct.
So you can go to the next level.
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough.
What is the composition? What is it?
Yeah. So what is the composition of the roller compacted asphalt mill?
Yeah, if you see a street that's being milled, it brings down, takes off the existing asphalt, reduces the profile, and then, they go over it again with fresh asphalt. So these millings are essentially asphalt that's been agitated for resurfacing. And so, there's different elements of how much, whether the asphalt is fresher, older, whatever, whether it's more brittle, whether it has more, oil, bless you, more oil in it or something to that effect. But, we wound up, bulldozing it all out and then put a heavy roller on it and then, rolled it, and it's a very hard surface. And
Let me ask you this way. I understand it's almost like a shaping
Mhm.
of the street surface, and you're putting it in a form that is like compiled of what? Like, are you reconstituting it with additional oil or tar?
No.
What holds it together and keeps it from having, lots of dust and debris like you would with grass? What keeps that from occurring?
well, like I said, it's basically asphalt. I mean, right, it's compacted asphalt, and it's, you can, if a lot of rain gets on it, it can subside if there's a lot of heat, like this summer it was in the 90s for quite a bit of time, and that oil gets reactivated and then tightens up, under pressure or under a roller. And so, we were able to obtain, a very tight compaction. And
It does change.
it gets actually tighter, as,
Answered my question.
yeah. Yeah.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Well, third, please state your name.
My name is Alfonso Hooper. Yes, I was. I'm the North Central Area Commissioner. I sit on the commission. I've been on that commission for 40+ years. And I'm here in support of Mr. Thor's project. I've had the opportunity to walk that facility today. It's amazing what he did to that chocolate factory. It's a funeral home that our families would really want to go to. We got 10 communities in North Central. And I think that facility, what he's developed there on 17th Avenue, is going to be very welcoming to our families. And with the new, especially with the new area of funeral services, ain't too many families is going to the traditional funeral. And I'm just saying that a crematory is the way 7 out of 10 funerals are going now. And that would be very economical for our families. If you only could walk through it, it's gonna be a central building for North Central and our 10 communities. And Mr. Thor have been always willing to work with our communities. North Central, I've worked with him. He's always been willing to reach out to our families in any situation that we need in funeral service at that time. So I'm here to support on the behalf of North Central that if he could get this open as soon as possible for we be able to use this facility to save money in funeral services, because our neighborhood needs this, every economical advantage we need in something like a funeral that's very costly. And we are asking this committee to be considered to let him do the neighborhood work that he's been doing for our communities. We've never reached out to him in any issues of concern at North Central that he didn't agree to help or reach out in any way. And for a businessman to do that in this day and time, it's hard and unusual to see these type of businessmen do that. He's been here, I think, graveyard has been there for 100 years. I know I'm 78 and I've been in Columbus since 62. And that's been the graveyard, especially for the Black community. That's been our Columbus graveyard for all these years that I reached out to our communities. And we asking this staff to keep us and keep him in our community to do those wonderful things. If you ever get a chance, you should visit this facility. He have put a lot of money in this facility, contemplating getting the furnaces and everything. And we're really excited to hope that it can open as soon as possible. So we hope that you all consider this, and I'm hoping too that we can get this funeral home up and running as soon as possible and get in use for our 10 communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
I've been sworn in. My name's Daryl Miller. I'm the owner of ASI Corp., which is just east of Thor's property. I've owned it for 12 years. The major tenant there is a company called Aqua Science, which I also own. And we see no reason for Thor not to do what he's doing. It doesn't impact us whatsoever. And we're, delighted that he can keep on doing what he wants to do. So we're fine with it and support his endeavor.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone have anything else today?
Nothing else to add unless there are any questions.
One, I don't know if I heard, what are you using that parking?
Presently, nothing going on back there.
Right.
Right.
No.
No, I mean, when it was Miramore Chocolate, it was, a semi-truck storage area. I mean, there were semis back there and tractor trailer rigs and, they had some mobile offices that they had, placed on the grounds for additional staff. So, what is there has always been there ever since the building was built back in, 1984, 85. So it's not a change of use. It's just, an improvement to, the surface, that was there. So it's not, we're just basically improving what was there originally.
So you can see the purple color indicates the property zoned M. That M zoning was the zoning when it was the Miramore Chocolate Factory. So it was, historically used for a different purpose. Once Miramore went out and the property became available, Thor was able to buy it, and it's adjacent to his use and put it to use for his cemetery, crematory, and now soon to be hopefully funeral home purposes to have, all of those uses right there in close proximity.
Okay. There's no other questions. I guess I'll take us to back first. Okay, so maneuvering area, the point of the basement feet, and then parking spaces on a surface rate compacted at buildings. We've heard the testimony tonight that show us that the difference between what would be the hard surface and the asphalt millings doesn't sound to be a substantial difference. It's not gonna be the dust and things that we think of with gravel. So no harm to a residentially zoned area that does not have any residences right now. Character of the neighborhood not altered. Property in an industrial area. The existing condition is really legitimized for that maneuvering. And so it sounds like they would not be able to operate on the property without that. There is, I guess we could say that they have to do something different with the surface area, so we would a method other than the variance could be pursued. But again, we find no issue with the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement that we would not grant these variances. So, in agreement with granting both variances with no conditions.
I'll call the question.
Mr. Jones?
I believe that the chair has outlined through her explanation of the document factors where this is acceptable for approval for the two variances, so I think yes.
Mr. Malacca?
Concur with the chair as well. I vote yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Likewise concur with the chair's analysis, we got good factors and vote yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Big vote is here now, I don't know, yes, but well.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned.